plus 2 other people that we got complete control of. And I said, okay, I just want to be sure that it wasn't Nikki. And then I said, well, what do you want me to do with the 2 shooters? This is about close to the end where it was almost on end. And they said, you pick them up as quick as you can, get one of them to New Brownsville, take the other one to Blanco, go back to New Brownsville and walk in like you bring them something to eat or whatever, and put a bullet right in the back of his spine and the head. And he said, I want him put into a container where no blood. He said, I want you to be ready to cover any blood they lose. Well, you know, how in the hell are you going to cover blood when a P-38 goes in the back of your head? And they said, go low with the shot so he don't bleed all over. Because I guess they didn't want the room checked for blood later or what, I don't know. And he says, use pillowcases, whatever you got to put over him to catch any blood that runs out. And man, I was thinking, man, what a horrible thing this has turned out to be. And then he says, you take that body and you take it to New Brownsville, right where we got it marked, and you put them in, you cover it, then you go to Blanco and you do the very same thing to that man and take him out to where you know you're going. I said, okay, I understand what to do. I said, well, I said, this is not Frank's style. I said, what you got set up here? I said, does Frank know what's happening here? Well, he says he knows what we're doing. And I said, you know, Frank wouldn't, you know, just shoot somebody in the back after they've done a job. I said, he's not that type. And they said, this is an important job. It's got to be the way we want it. And if you want a part of it, yeah, if you don't, you know, so if I didn't, I'd probably never walked out there alive. And I said, no, I want the job. I want it. And so after that was all discussed, we didn't go over that no more because I didn't want to talk about the blood and because I've seen people's heads shot off and I know what happens. It's not a very, you get splattered yourself with blood. And then, you know, mentioned be sure and clean up any blood evidence that shows, and I realized that. And so he walked back over to his case, and he pulled out a big envelope. It had 10 grand in it. He said, now I'm giving you plenty of money. He says, I don't want you to do any shit on the way to get picked up by the police or anything happened. He said, you got plenty of money. You use this money and don't take no chances. I said, okay, I understand. And then he laid down 2 P-38s. And I told him, I said, you know, P-38s are pretty bad damn shot. They shoot a badass bullet. And he said, we won't not have no trouble with them. And I said, why can't I use a 22? He said, well, I take no chances with a 22. Use these. And I said, okay. And so I took the money and I stuffed it in the front pocket. It was hard to get in. And I forced it in there. And they said, Don, do you want to go over anything once more? I said, no, I think I got it pretty well in my mind what I need to do. You know, I said, I understand it. I said, you want to ask me anything? And I can answer. And the last thing he said, what's the room number in Waco? And I spilled it off real quick. He said, okay, I'm satisfied. He said, I want you to repeat that number 1,000 times a day until you're there. And I said, okay. And then as he turned around, I said, whoa. I said, what kind of a car that's waiting for me in Waco? He says, a brand new Ford. And I said, that's not a fast car. I said, why don't you know, get me a Hornet or a Studebaker, or even a used one. I said, I might have to, you know, make a run there. said, no, this has got interceptors in it. He says, it'll go as fast as any car on the road. And he says, it'll pass any Hudson. And I looked at him, I said, no, I said, I know better than that, but I'll take your word on it. He said that these are what's called the police interceptors. And they had like a 485 in them, and they was well built for speed. And I said, well, that'll do then. He told me the color of it and everything. But he said also you got a message in your box, everything about the car. And you read that. After we had discussing the last words in the room, they turned and all of them went out. And I was sitting there touching the money in my pocket, and I was thinking, man, I'm in a jam now out of this world. So I destroyed everything except the telephone number, and I headed like crazy to White Plains. I got in there real late. It was way after 12, and I told my wife, I said, let's go. Let's don't even wait till tomorrow. I said, let's head, get out of the country. And then on the way, I told her what it was all about. And she said, boy, she says, they're gonna be hunting you pretty soon. I said, yeah, I know. So we're on, and we decided on mine in North Dakota. And so when I got to Minot, I rented a place. Then the number I had, I called and gave them the number. I would be at Minot, just leave a message, and I would get it. And so we waited around there. So time was getting close, and I told my wife, I said, baby, I said, we got to be ready to get the hell out of here, but let's don't leave when we're supposed to. Let's wait till the next day. And I said, we'll have a little jump on them. I said, that's all we can do. And so the call was made, and they said it's ready in Waco. And so I should have left for Waco that morning early. And I'd been in Waco late that night, or the next morning I'd been in Waco. And I knew I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't a cold-blooded killer. And so we started in and out, going down south, and we come into Farmington, New Mexico, or somewhere down in there. I think it was Farmington. And we had the radio playing, and we heard the assassination of Kennedy at that time. And I still didn't put it together, that's what it was at the time. I was trying to put it out in my mind, really. I was so upset. And so I told her, I said, let's go into Flagstaff and we'll stay all night there tonight. And we kept uplifting everything. So got in Flagstaff, and I got a room with a good TV, and we was watching the news. Now, I don't remember what news we was watching. We was watching two different news. One left Dallas of Kennedy's casket, and we looked later at when it landed in New York, and I wasn't sure about the two things because I was tired. I was driving all day. All I was doing is watching the news and hearing what happened. As I was watching, I looked and I saw a man step off of kind of like a step down off of the plane where they put the body on to bring it out, or put it on. I don't know which one it was. I don't remember. And I recognized that man. I thought I recognized him as the same man that was in that hotel room, the little man. I could have swore that was him. I told my wife, I said, baby, that was one of the men I dealt with. And then pretty soon in another newsreel, and I don't know if it was the next morning or when, or late that night, it was not exactly next morning because it's after midnight probably. And we saw another one, and I saw the other man. recognize him right